Welcome everyone. This week we're going to talk about inheritances. I've added some videos on inheritance that are not my videos, but I've also wanted to do one of my own videos to talk a little bit more detailed. So in case those don't make any sense, I wanted to put something more specific to the class that we're learning and so forth. So I did a really good draw up on a whiteboard in the class I had last semester in CIT 130, but since this is not in person, I'm going to do the best I can. So as we mentioned before, and one of my in the lecture I mentioned about inheritance, how you inherit something from your parents. So we'll start off at parents. I'm using Excel as the best bet here. So let's just, doesn't matter. Let's make it. Let's say we'll parent. All right. So I'll use mine as an example. So parent can be. Let's start off grandparent. Okay. And so we'll start off with grandparent. Let's be more specific. One second here. Let's see here. Let's make these. Let's just make this. We'll say grandpa. And then you have. Let's just say grandpa. Let's do this. Grandma. All right, so you have your grandparents, you have grandpa and grandma. Now, their traits are going to be a little bit different, but each one gets a different trait. But we'll try to make it as even as possible. So, the shared responsibility is, we'll say, dad, your father. So your father. It'd be better if I see. We'll look at these guys together. So this is the first step right here, number one. So number two is the father, okay, and then you have son, and then maybe you have a son, and maybe he has a daughter. So let's see here. All right, so perfect. All right, so we start off with the grandparents. You have grandma and grandpa, but right now we'll focus on grandpa. So that is the first generation. Second generation is his dad. So his dad has a kid, and that's his son. So in this example right here would be, this is my grandfather. He had a boy, and then there I was, and then I also had a son. Well, he's only 11, so we know that he doesn't have any kids. But let's say down the road when he does have kids, in the next 10, 15, 20 years, whatever the case is, he has a daughter. So this right here, daughter can inherit something all the way from the grandfather, or the daughter can inherit something from me. We'll just put my dad, my grandpa, and then my son, and my granddaughter. All right, so this right here is just an example of how you can inherit something. So what we want to do here is what I want to do is give you guys an example of real life situation. So then when we start talking about the coding aspect of it, it might make a lot more sense. So traits here. So we'll put something for traits here, and we'll be specific. All right, so unique trait that my grandfather has. Maybe it's he's smart. So maybe my father, we'll do is we'll see. I haven't really thought about how I was going to do this. That is a bad thing to pull down. Let's see here. All right. My father has this baldness. Okay, that's his trait. He was bald at a young age. I mean, that's a young age, like 20, 21, whatever. Just, whatever. So, in reality, this is me. What did I inherit from him? No hair. Later on in life, in my early 30s, I started losing my hair. So that right here could be an example of trait number one. Okay, I started losing my hair. Maybe I gained that trait from him. Okay. Um, all right. What's something I have? Height. So I'm pretty tall. I'm 6'7", so I'm pretty tall. So it at this point it has skipped my son. He's not showing the height thing. But let's say down the road, um, that's something that she has. She's tall. For a girl, she's tall. She's 6'4". That's tall. So that right there could be height that was um, came from me, grandfather. So that could be one thing. Now my son, he could get maybe walk. So his walk might be similar to mine. His hair color, his eye color, his facial suggestions, his um, voice, etc. Those are things that could be inherited from the father, the grandfather, maybe the grandfather. Give you an example of something really odd. So I ran across this picture that my cousin, that's my dad's cousin, had posted, gave to me about 10 years ago. And to be honest with you, I ran across it. I was looking some stuff up and I found it. And then I had to immediately scan it because I looked at it. It was incredible because the woman in the picture looked like my grandmother. So I asked him, I said, is this her? Because this picture just doesn't look right. It was gray, enhanced as much as possible. And it was so strange because I found out that it was wow, this goes really down the line. It would have been my great, like fourth great grandmother. So this picture was taken sometime either in the late 1600s to the early 1700s. And it was so odd because it was her dad's mom, whatever. It just went down the line, and she looked just like her. Now, my daughter, or myself, my daughter, and my niece resemble her a lot, and it's just amazing how genetics work. That many years ago, that you have something that one person had. It's just amazing. So anyways, think about that um, uh, when you're trying to develop the code. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to start developing the code. So give me a second here to prepare. All right, so what we're going to do here in our example is we're going to have the parent, which is going to play by a guitar. All right, and then the child, well, let me go back here. We'll have the children. The children in this case will be, what type of guitars can you have? You can have a bass guitar. Oh, geez. Bass. You could have electric guitar, more popular. Then you can have a classical. And then we're going to need a main class to play this, which will be our parent class. All right, so we're going to develop this right here in my tutorial. This will give you a really good understanding of how all this works. Clear this. All right, so let me pull over Eclipse. Hopefully you guys can see this. Okay, all right, let's see here. Let's start a new package. We'll call this inheritance. All right, so first thing that we're going to start off with is guitar. So that's going to be our main class basically. So we'll call it guitar. Public static. Let's see here. Do I need a public static on this one? We don't need a public static. So let's just do a regular class. Okay. All right. So we have our public class. Okay. I was sitting here talking without having this on record. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with, or we're going to add a private string. Call it name. We'll add a private integer called serial num. And these are some of the features that we're going to have. We're going to call private int num strings. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to set up a public guitar. And what we're going to do is we're just going to do an output. Put something here and say it's our parent constructor. So at this point, we probably have already talked about constructors, and hopefully it'll be a lot easier to understand constructors. They can be a little confusing at first. So now let's put some comments here. All right, this will be our parent constructor. Alrighty. Now we need to play this guitar. So we're going to put public, and you can name this anything you want to. I'm just calling it play. Okay. We're going to say system.out.println, and we're going to say playing a sweet sound. Now you can say whatever you want to say. That's just what I was thinking. All right. So now we need sound, right? We'll do public void sound. And we could do system.out.println. And we could say, oh, what an idiot. Playing a awesome sound. I just thought of something I messed up on. So play, I have playing a sound, but that's not what we want. We want like an actual sound. So we could say bang, or we'll just give it this. It doesn't matter. Anyways, all right. So now we got play, we got the sound. All right. So now we need to set get and set variables, because we'll use them down the line to set variables and get variables and so forth. So we'll start off with let's put this here. Get and set variables. In object-oriented language, it makes it easier for you to set gets and sets. Setting is setting an object to something, and later on you get it and display that object where you need to. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say public string get name. What did I do? Public string get name. Alright, it's okay because we don't have this down yet, so that's alright. We do return name. Now we're going to say public void set name. You pass in a parameter called name. You could call that whatever you want to call it, like I said. In this case, we're saying public void set name, string name, so pass a parameter. We start off our code here and we'll say return. Actually, that's wrong. This dot name equals name. Now, there's another way you could do it. You could just do name equals name, but it's best practice to use this because this says what it says. It's the current variable, current name that you're going to be using, the current variable within this class. All right, let's see here. All right, next part of it is we want to set up serial number. So we'll do public int get serial num as we have at the top. I'll explain about that in a second here. This all goes down to your constructor. Return serial num. What did I call it up there? See, I did an upper and lowercase, and that won't work if I have it all lowercase, because it doesn't know what to call it. So we have a public integer, which is get serial number, return a serial number, which is, we have it declared up here because we're going to set that variable. We're setting that variable, not yet, but we will here in a second. So we're doing a public get. So we're doing public void set serial. And as you notice here, I'm doing, when I set something, I put set in it because it's specific of what you're trying to do. If you just put serial number 1, serial number 2. That doesn't say what you're trying to do. This right here says that you're trying to give that variable some type of name, something that's going to equal. So it makes it easier for the developer to figure out what's going on. So now we'll say this dot serial. You see how it pops up. We want to make sure that it's uppercase because it won't work. Equals serial num. There we go. All right, next thing is, and as you notice here, what we're doing is we're creating get and sets for these variables up here, okay? So any of these variables we have up here, we're going to use down here somewhere, okay? So let me say get and set, we'll say object for serial number, and get and set objects for what? For names. Now, what do we have left? Get and set objects for number strings. Okay, so what we could do is, well, let's do this. Public int get num strings, and then we'll say return num strings. Okay, now we need to set it. Kind of get the idea of what we're doing here, right? Ugh. Sorry, I have a new kitten, and she is learning how to do certain things, and she's running around my office as I'm typing here. So if you hear something in the background, it's a kitten going crazy. All right, so num strings. All right. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to type in this dot, and you have to make sure you have number strings. You pull it up, equals number strings. Boom. All right. Whew. Let's go back to this real quick. So anytime we add something here, so let's say that, pretend that we wanted to add something else. Let's say that we wanted to say private int, what can we say, age. And age could be the age of the device. So how would we do that? So you come here and say get and set objects for age. So you would do public int get age, return age. That's how I did it. So do it lowercase. All right, great. So then I would do public void set age, pass in the age. Oops. See here, pass in the age, and then what would you do? You would set it, right? You'd say this dot age equals age. Yeah. So that is what we have if we were doing that, but we're not using that. But I wanted to kind of give you an example how you do it. You have your declaration up here, which I'm going to take out of there because we're not using it. And then you would have your get and sets down here. Now I showed that to you because I might say, hey, go and create something and add something to this as your assignment. So we'll close out that and hit yes. So we have that part done. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to work on one of our different types. So we had base, for example. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click on inheritance. We're going to choose class, and we're going to come up with our names. We're going to call it base because that's one of our guitar names that we want to use. Okay, so we have our package. We have public class base. Now here is the kicker. Here's what we want to do. We want base to talk to this person right here. So how are we going to do that? We're going to use something called extends. And you'll learn about extends guitar. What it does is it extends and says, guess what? You know what? In this program here, I'm going to use base as my class. Then I'm going to go and call extends and use some stuff from there. So what this kind of goes back to is, let's say that and it doesn't work this way, but try to think of the best way. But when a baby is, when someone's pregnant and there's a baby in the belly, um, think about, how like it's getting its nutrients and it's growing, and at that point it's also extending. In a sense, it's amazing how it works, but it's extending to ancestors in a sense. Maybe not that exactly, but you kind of get the idea. It's extending and getting, it might be grabbing eye color from 3 generations, or for example, everybody in the past, um, from the current family down to the grandparents and the grandparents before that, all have brown hair, and this kid has red hair, and you're like, how do they have red hair? Well, maybe 4 generations ago, someone had red hair, something like that. In this example here, we're going to extend and say, hey, you know what? We're going to use the guitar stuff. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make a public class called public bass. We're going to open and close it. We're going to call this super. Below that, we're going to do a system.out.println. My super is not working, but that's okay. We'll get it working. So we're saying this is the bass constructor. Awesome. All right, so we end it there. Now, what we need is, what do we need here? Can anyone think? Public play. So we need it to play. So we're going to put system.out.println, boom. Okay, so we just said boom. All right, what else do we need? We need sound. All right, system.out.println, bass guitar is the best. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. All right, there you go. We have that set up now. So now we're extending the guitar. And why are we extending the guitar? What are the classes that we're using? We're using the play class and the sound class as we extend. So right now I'm just going to close that because I'm not going to use that anymore. We're done for now. Okay. So we need another class. What's the other class that we need? Now a lot of this could be copy and paste as well, but in this case, we'll just write it out. This is the first time. So we need the classical one. So we'll call it classical. All right. And then what do we need to do here? Can anyone think what we need to do here? Extends guitar. You're right. Whoever said that, even though there's no one's talking about it, but I just like to make it like this really happens. So classical. There we go. Open, close. System.out.println something. Hello from the classical constructor. Great. All right, public void sound. This is where I think we could just copy and paste to save time. So let's do this. Copy. We'll change it around a little bit. So we'll say classical sound is playing. And then we'll say something else. Here for sound. We'll say la 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 la. Awesome. So now the classical is done. It's extending the guitar. What's it using from the guitar? It's using play and it's using sound. Okay. So let's hit save. So now we got that done. 2 more classes we need to write. So the next class we need to do is electric. So we'll do new class, electric. And this is starting to get easy now. Extends guitar. Okay. And then what we're going to do down here is we're going to do public electric system.out.println hello from electric guitar. I know this is kind of weird saying hello from guitar, but you get the idea. Oops. Public void. We'll say and then we'll say electric guitar We'll see. Electric sound is the best. It's great. And we need double quotes. Good. All right, that's it right there. All right, so the last piece is test it. We need to test this. So we need another class to use as the tester. This would be more or less like the driver, the IDE, the editor, whatever you want to call it. We'll say test inheritance. We'll set up a public static void. All right, take this stuff out of here. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to type in classical. I'm going to say classical guitar equals, one moment here. All right, sorry about that. All right, so classical guitar equals, and then what we're going to type here is we're going to do a new class and we're going to call it classical. Okay, awesome. So now all we need to do is we need to use a class electric. We'll do electric guitar, you call whatever you want to call it, equals new electric. Now, all we're doing here is we're just calling these guys right here. This is a class called classical. This is called electric. We're starting off with the class name, and which is the constructor, and then we're calling it whatever we want to call it, and we say equals new classical. So later on, when we type in that value dot something, it'll give us some type of value that we want to use. All right. So next thing we're going to do here is we're going to type in bass guitar equals new bass. Same thing. All right. So now we're going to say calling overridden functions and methods. All right. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to say classical guitar, which we have up there. Now see all the options that we have here, all these options, but some of them are ones that we created. So we're going to do play. And then we're going to do classical guitar dot sound. All right, now we're going to do electric. Let's make things easy here. I like copy and paste sometimes. It makes it easier as a developer. We'll say play. We'll do sound. Now we'll do same thing with bass guitar. Dot play. Dot sound. Boom. Now let's see if we can run it and see what happens. All right. Move it up here. You see it. So it starts off as a parent constructor. Hello from the classical constructor. Parent constructor. Hello from the electric guitar. Parent constructor. Bass constructor. Classical sound is playing la 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 grunge. Electric guitar sound is great. Boom. Bass guitar is the best. So what it did is it called all those different classes. Now we could. Here's the thing with the setup. You can add stuff to this. You don't have to just keep it like this. And maybe that'll be part of the assignment. I'm not sure. But the thing is, you could add stuff to it because you're saying, hey, I'm going to use this class here. I'm going to use that class. So how would you do it? So like classical guitar is playing sound. So we have playing sound. It comes over here and grabs this information. But it then, let me actually pull this over here real quick and create a new one to kind of show you a better idea. So think of it this way. So you have your let's call it our console, okay? Our console first talks to who? It talks to the class, which is basically the constructor itself. We'll say class constructor, right? And then, in this example, we'll say it's classical, not Java, okay? So then, who's this guy right here talk to? He talks to the parent, which I guess we could say this is the child right here. Talks to the parent. Who's the parent? Guitar, because then that class is right here in play. So then it talks to the guitar class, and so forth. So you can create something here, and you can have it do something else, like you can have it do something else, and then add it here, and then test it here, and so forth, and go down the line. So hopefully within the 30 minutes here I talk, this is a really good understanding of how to build up some type of inheritance. It's just a class that inherits something from another class, and it makes your programming easier down the line. Now, right now we're just doing console applications, but it will make more sense later on when you start doing forms, or maybe in the future you're doing mobile application development, or you're doing web interface, and it will make so much more sense that you might what's very popular, and we won't talk about in this class, is web uh, uh, um, I can't even get out web references. They're basically, most of you have heard about a database, but these web calls that you make are ways to send data across the internet um, through API calls. And you could have an API in one of these, and you're able to go back and get the reference from the database and so forth. But just learning this part of it right here has a number of unlimited opportunities. So good luck in this week. And if you have any questions specific to what we went over here, please reach out to me or go in the forum and we can walk through it and talk through it. All right. Thanks for listening and have a good day.